Rural seats are key. Not every vote is equal. Multi-ethnic urban seats, which lean toward the opposition, generally have much higher numbers of voters than those dominated by rural-majority Malays, who traditionally support the National Front. That means it takes fewer votes to elect a government lawmaker than it does to elect an opposition lawmaker. Tindak, a group lobbying for reform of the electoral system, says one-third of voters decide half of the seats. These distortions are particularly evident in the thinly populated states of Sabah and Sarawak on the island of Borneo, which together elect a quarter of seats in parliament. Questionable boundary changes. The opposition and election monitoring groups say changes to the boundaries of electorates that were rushed through parliament last month favor the government. They say the redrawn boundaries moved likely opposition voters into seats that already support the opposition, a process that also split constituencies along racial lines because minority Chinese and Indian voters have flocked to the opposition in the past two elections. The Election Commission has insisted the process was fair and the transfers moved voters to closer poll centers. The boundaries have not been redrawn since 2003, but this was the first time the exercise didn't involve an increase in parliamentary seats despite a sharp rise in voters. Tindak said the most obviously unfair changes were in the country's richest state of Selangor, which is among 3 of 13 states not ruled by the National Front. Voter roll irregularities. Bursa, a group promoting free and fair elections, says it has found major irregularities in the electoral roll, including more than 2.1 million people, equal to about 15% of eligible voters, without addresses. It also identified 23 cases of dead Malaysians being re-registered as new voters. The group says the irregularities are nothing new, but no action to clean up the lists was taken following recommendations by a parliamentary committee in 2011. "We are extremely concerned that these irregularities continue to persist," Bursa said. How credible are international observers? Malaysia has invited 25 election observers from 9 countries including India and Indonesia, the world's biggest and third biggest democracies, respectively. But the 7 other nations all fall short on democratic credentials: Azerbaijan, the Maldives, Thailand, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Cambodia and Kyrgyzstan. Malaysia's Human Rights Commission protested that it had been denied permission by the Election Commission to field observers at polling stations. The commission said there will be more than 1,200 observers representing 14 local civil society groups. News law. Malaysia's parliament last month passed a law prohibiting fake news that critics said could be used to stifle debate and inhibit reporting on a corruption scandal at State Investment Fund 1 MDB and allegations $700 million, (938.03 billion) of the stolen money landed in Prime Minister Najib Razak's bank account. Last week police said they were investigating a fake news complaint against opposition leader and former Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad. He had claimed his chartered plane was sabotaged last week to prevent him from filing his candidacy in the northern resort island of Langkawi. The law allows fines of up to 500,000 ringgit (169.88 million) and 6 years in prison. Voting day. The Election Commission's decision to hold the election in midweek triggered complaints that it would suppress turnout because many people must return to their hometowns to vote. Past elections show a higher turnout increases the opposition's share of the vote. The government later declared May 9th a holiday, but critics say it will still be difficult for 500,000 Malaysians working in Singapore to vote.